In the last section, we created an autoplay disc. In this particular lesson, I'm going to walk you through the steps on how to create a menu and what that means to your final DVD project. I've kind of taken up where we left off. We've got our timeline with our hero. We've got 3 chapters in here. That one's at the beginning. The second one was called Lightning, where he throws the lightning, and the third was where the villain started speaking. We've got our assets within our project, our sequence and our timeline. And we've kind of set some things up for an autoplay, but I'm going to go ahead and throw a menu in here too. Let me make this just a little bit bigger. You'll notice across the top, I went through these very quickly in the last lesson. The build is when you're ready to build your DVD. Timelines will show you what timelines you have in here. And again, you can have multiple timelines if you'd like. But you'll notice the menus is blank. We're going to go ahead and pop a menu in there. Similar to Premiere and Photoshop, Encore has a bunch of templates that come packaged with it. Understand though, as I go through these templates that you're going to see, you can actually create any menu you want in Photoshop. It would make sense that you could create the graphic within Photoshop, create all its buttons within Photoshop, and pull them in through that direct link into Encore as well. But I've noticed that the templates themselves in Encore are pretty good, and you can actually get a kind of a professional looking DVD menu just by using some of these templates. If you're not already in the library, make sure you're on the library tab. And what we want to do is we want to go to the set. And when you open up set, there's all kinds of different template sets. Any set that you open for the first time, if you notice on my screen, it's actually got to go to those assets and open up that set for you. So that may take a few seconds. The set I want you to pull up, though, is the entertainment set. And what we're going to do, I want to make sure we're all on the same menu so we can show what the heck's going on. Within each set here of this entertainment set, I've got 4 to 5 different assets for each template that I want to use. They're theme based, so they all look very similar. So if I go into Projector, you'll see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 assets with Projector. You've got, if I click on one, you'll see all of the assets. There's the background, so that's a Photoshop file. And then I've got a button. Then I've got the whole menu with the background and the buttons together. And then I have this idea of a submenu. And the submenu allows you to put in chapter markers, which we're going to do in a quick second. And then you've got the video button, which is the button that's on the submenu. So we're going to use this projector menu piece. I'm going to click on the menus tab, and I am going to grab the projector menu, and I'm going to drag that into the menus tab. Give it a few seconds, and up comes the projector menu. While I'm here, I'm also going to drag the submenu in too as well. I'm going to go ahead and drag the submenu in. So I've got 2 menus to work with, the main menu and the submenu. Let's close the submenu for now. And let's double click on the main menu. You'll notice it comes in already with some ideas. It's got some buttons in here too as well. So this is where you would set up your your play film, and again, very similar to a regular straight DVD. You might want to change some of these things. Obviously, it says main title in here. So I'm going to kind of come up in here and grab the text tool. Go ahead and double click where it says main, and I'm going to type in go ahead into title, double click Heroes. That'll be the name of my movie. And quite honestly, the rest I can come down through here, and I could change these if I wanted to, but I'm going to keep these the same way. I'm going to grab the pointer, go back to play film. The name is play film. You'll see it similar to what we were working with in the project panel. Whatever I selected in here changes my properties panel. So I go to the menu, I say play film, I click on that, and my properties panel is going to change. The link piece is the thing that we really want to look at. So we've got to connect all these buttons to what we want these buttons to do. So I'm on the play film, I say link over here is not set. I'm going to use the drop down menu. Let me click back on that. There we go. The drop down menu. And you'll notice there's some, I could link this to the submenu if I wanted to, which we're going to do in a second, but I can also link this to the sequence. So I pulled down on the sequence menu, and we're gonna use all our chapter markers the same exact way. I pulled down on the sequence menu, and I noticed here's this chapter 1. And if you remember correctly, chapter 1 is at the very beginning of the movie. Okay? So I'm going to slide over here and say, when they click on the play film button, I want you to start chapter 1, sequence chapter 1. Of course, if you're remembering what the Pickwick tool does, I can use the Pickwick as well to decide what this button will do. I head on over to timelines to show my timeline. And what I'm going to do is drag the Pickwick for the link across to the timeline, because it'll start the timeline, which again is what I want to have happen. Anytime they click on that button to play film, I want the beginning of the film to start. So I'm good to go there. I've got that play film. Special features, you would point, I would imagine you'd create another sequence somewhere down the road and put the special features button to that sequence, which would play all of your secondary stuff. Your scene selection, I'll come back to. Language, there would be functionality within the DVD to change to a different type of language, to change your audio track. Again, very high level stuff here, and then extras, obviously, another sequence which would kind of create what your extras would be. So let's talk about the submenu idea. If I click in the submenu, double click the submenu, here's the submenu, and I would go ahead and let's change, obviously I would change the submenu title again. Change that to Our Heroes. Main menu is good because that's kind of indicates to the user what things we're talking about. Then you have each of these chapters, and we're going to put the sequences, the chapter markers within those chapters. So I'm going to go back to the pointer. I'm going to click on chapter 1, and here's the link idea that says not set. So I'm going to go down through here, and I'm going to go to the sequence, and I'm going to manually put these in. And the minute you'll note that whenever I get a video clip in there, the actual piece of the video will show up. This will probably be a little more apparent in chapter 2. I'm going to change the link there to lightning. There you go. And you'll see the little icon change to the point in the video time where you're actually putting the links in. So I'm going to go back to the sequence. My last one is villain. There's the villain talking. I don't need a chapter 4, so I'm going to click on chapter 4 and just hit the delete key. So I only have 3 chapters in there. You can obviously space these out. This is all a graphical interface, so you can move these wherever you want. There's a bunch of tools in here that work down with the submenus. So, you know, I'll kind of leave that for now. If you use a template, you should be good to go, and it'll look pretty good. So I've got my submenu set to go. I've got each of these chapter markers pushed over. The one thing I didn't do is link my menu, my traditional menu, the scene selection, to the submenu. So I've got the projector submenu. The link is not set here. If I go down here, I've got this projector submenu. So I'm going to come over to my properties panel, and I'm going to use my Pickwick to set up the link for the scene selection. So I want the link for the scene selection button to go to the submenu. So I grab the Pickwick, drag it over to the submenu, and I'm good to go. When they click on this button, let me double click here, my submenu will appear. So I've got all of my menu structures good to go. I'm going to go back to project. You'll notice all of the menu pieces show up as well in your project panel. There's a new piece. We've got the menu and the submenu, but there's this Ntsc Projector M2v. What this is, these templates are not stagnant. They're actually full-range movies. So I'm assuming this menu, when we preview it, will actually have some motion in it, and that has to be created by a movie, an MPEG video movie. So we'll see how that turns out when we talk about the preview. Okay, I've got my menu in here. There's one other thing I've got to check in here. There's this first play idea, and then there's the stop action, which when I go back to the timeline, the end action, I don't want it to just stop anymore. I want the end action to go back to the main menu. So I'm going to grab the Pickwick, and the end action is going to go to not the sub menu, but the main menu. So once the movie is done, and this is typical of most DVD movies, once the DVD is done, it'll go back to the main menu waiting for you. The other idea I want to kind of talk to you about is if you look over here, and I'll zoom in, there's a little icon over the sequence, the timeline. This is called the first play item. So you can also dictate when you pop the DVD in what's going to happen first. And again, going back to that autoplay idea, the first play on an autoplay disc is the timeline, which basically means the movie will just start. That's what an autoplay disc is here. With a menu-based DVD, I want the menu to be the first thing that comes up. So we've got to change this. So typically, I would tell you right now, this is still an autoplay disc. When you put this movie in, the movie will start automatically and it will not go to the menu. So I want it to go to the main menu. I'm going to right-click on the menu itself, and you'll notice a command halfway down. It's called Set as First Play. And if you watch closely, you will see that little icon shift from the timeline to the projector menu, which is the main menu. So we've got our first play done. We've set up our menu structures. We've used a template in order to do that. And then I changed the end action for the movie itself so that it goes back to the menu. I think I'm good to go here to ready to build. So the difference between this now and an autoplay in the build feature, there's no difference whatsoever. This will actually, you put your empty DVD in and you go ahead and build it and it'll burn it onto the DVD. If by chance you were doing a Blu-ray, if you wanted to do a Blu-ray, there is a couple of special things you need. Obviously, you could change the format to Blu-ray here. This will probably, oh no, I thought it would give me an error. The two things you need to burn a Blu-ray, special in this case, Blu-rays do require a special burner. So you actually need to go out and buy an external piece of hardware that is specifically a Blu-ray DVD burner. It's a totally different process, so there's new hardware that's needed. The second piece, obviously, that you need is the blank Blu-ray disc, which again, completely different disc. It's not a DVD. Blu-rays carry way more information. They carry a bunch of HD information. The screens tend to be bigger. They tend to be widescreen, and they carry more pixels per inch. So you're going to need your Blu-ray blank DVDs end up, I want to say they're 10 gig capacity, where a regular DVD is a 4 gig capacity. So again, totally different system, totally different structure. You definitely need a Blu-ray player as well as a blank Blu-ray disc. The third piece I'm actually going to push out to, we're going to actually create a flash piece of this movie. Before I even go out to flash, I want to show you a neat feature. If I go into the file menu, you go down about 2/3 of the way down, there's this preview feature, and let me pull that up. I'm going to go ahead and click on preview, and Encore creates a preview of what your movie is going to look like. You can use, it's a full range player. Let's say I go to scene selection. I want to see if my sub menu works. Beautiful. I go to scene selection. There's my sub menu. I can go straight to the villain if I'd like. I go ahead and click on that.
When you were a child,
and it goes right to that
you
chapter.
sat as all.
So this preview piece will allow you to see how the movie is going to work even before you build it. So let's go ahead. Let's see what a build process looks like. We're going to go ahead and create the flash. I'm not going to check it because I'm just going to hit build. It'll check automatically. Destination, you've got, so it's basically saying what do you want to use. We're going to use a current project. You've got all these settings. I think I'm going to go with straight FLV. Don't worry so much about this. The templates, let's go with let's see what corporate one does. This is just the flash template. This is what's going to change around the movie. It's not going to change the menu templates that I used already. Keep with flash SWV. Okay, so we just got to change the destination here. Okay, if I expand out, I see the browse button for location. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and it's basically asking me where do you want to put it. So let's just do this. I'm going to make a new folder on the desktop, and I am going to rename that one to Heroes. So it's going to my Heroes folder. All right, let's come back here. I've got my Heroes. I'm ready to go. I am going to build. It's going to check it. Let's just see. It's got errors here. Let's view these errors. Let's see. Okay, so obviously I looked into my main menu, and there were some things I didn't link. You've got next, previous, special features. All of these errors are coming up because I didn't go ahead and make those links, which again, not a big deal. I don't have any extras. I actually probably should go back to the main menu and get rid of these pieces if I don't have those pieces. But good indication, just a reminder to you that anytime you've got links on a menu, you've got to make sure all of your links work, even the next or previous buttons, which are found in the main menu sub-menu. So we could go ahead and go back and do that in terms of making sure all of these links work. But I'm not worried about it. It's still going to work. I click Start. Well, okay, I'm good here. Let me go back and build again. In this case, I'm going to ignore and continue because I know what the errors are. And it's going to go and build my Flash project out. This might take a few. I'll come back when it's done. Okay, we're good to go. Just completed. Writing Flash completed. I click OK. Let me minimize that. Let's go see what this looks like. I've got my Heroes folder. And here are the assets that it created. Notice there's a SWF file, Shockwave Flash. That's the actual movie. It does create a ton of other pieces in here if you look at the sources folder. So this is quite intensive when you start thinking about what this thing did in order to create a Flash page. I'm going to go ahead and click Index. And understand as well that you need, let me just move this into the window so you can see everything associated here. Slide that in. There we go. What you see behind is that corporate template that I was talking about that I picked. You'll notice the movie is totally in a Flash window. And I've got all the regular traditional tools that I typically use in a DVD. One thing we didn't see in Encore is that you actually see this motion happening on your menu, which is kind of cool. Some of the menus, the menu templates that are motion-based or movie-based are very, very just professional looking. This is a great example of that. I can move into each of these. I can go to Scene Selection, and it pulls up my sub-menu. These are the buttons. This is the previous and the next that I never linked. This main menu I never linked, which is what those series of errors were giving me. So if I click on this, it'll flat out give me an error because I didn't link those in the menu. But you got each of your chapters that work perfectly fine. Let's go to lightning. Whoa, lightning. Da-da-da.
When you were a child,
starts talking.
you sat.
You have been judged guilty.
So again,
turning your heels on the face of the
this. If I'd have done all of the linking on the menus, this would be a full featured movie. So you get the idea. Pretty cool. You can actually see what your movie looks like before you burn it on the DVD.